going to sit around begging white people to do for us what we have the power to do for ourselves. We have come up with black agendas, but we've been looking to the wrong people to fulfill our agenda.
Brothers and sisters, I hope you're all doing fine. Now, the Caucasians have tried to erase the black history, and they have tried so much to intimidate black folks long after they used them in the slavery period, and in which they made sure their countries were built by the sweat of black folks. Now, these are not my words. These are the words of the one and only Louis Farrakhan. Now, it must be remembered that Louis Farrakhan has been fighting for the rights of black minority in the US, and he has been speaking the truth, and he has been telling them how much the black folks built America, how much the black folks built the European Union and all that stuff. So let's watch this video and have a very quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
That's right. And then be willing to pay the price of what liberty demands, what truth demands. That's what I want. I want to see the Latino family, who the enemy wants to pit us against each other.
That's right.
The blacks, some of us are evil and angry because when we look up, our Mexican family has the job. But Mexicans work hard.
Come on now.
When I go to Mexico and look, these are not beggars. These are people that will make something out of nothing and be on the side of the road with business.
Yes, sir.
That's why when the Latinos, as they are called, or Latinas, come to America, they're in unity.
That's right.
And that unity, they start with nothing, with 6 or 8 living in one house.
right.
And the next thing you know, they own the house.
That's
They
right.
own the house
That's
next
right.
door. They start opening up businesses, and you see them thriving
Yes, right, Brother Minister.
while the black community is dying.
Yes, sir.
Why are you dying? What is the matter with the black? You are not less than your Latino family, but you have been fixed mentally by the enemy. You have a greater sense of self as a Latino than the blacks in America do. That has been totally stripped from us.
That's right.
We go to school, we go to college, we have BS degree, master degrees, we have doctorate degrees. What have we produced with it for our children and our future? Nothing. That's a sickness. That's mental. So the enemy is playing us off against each other. At one point, we were the largest minority. I don't know what that means. Oh, we're the largest do-nothing group in the country. Then along comes Mexicans and Latinos that have outstripped us in terms of production of life. So you are a larger minority, but you're very progressive. Very progressive. So the difference between us is we've been made each other's enemy.
Yes.
We've been made to look at each other like we are the real enemy. And the enemy sits back and laughs because he knows he's the author of all of this, that in our unity we can overcome it and do something better. So I want to see our Latino family, our native indigenous family, and the black people of America who are native indigenous to the earth itself, like you.
That's right.
You can't find a birth record to the indigenous natural people because we came with the sun,
That's right.
or
That's
we were
right.
before the sun.
That's right. That's right.
So we're coming back to our original position, and so are you. I hope I answered that question. It's a start. Then what I want you to do, see, when you talk to fellow Latinos, What is your grievance with the government? What is your grievance with the way you are being treated? How can our unity affect a change so that we will be made better by change? I'm not going there seeking nothing from the enemy but to get the hell away from him. I don't want to be with him. I don't know about nobody else. I don't want to be your boy.
That's right.
I don't want to be the singer
That's right.
and the dancer
That's right.
and the clown for white people.
That's right.
I want to be a free black man in a land of my own.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
You will never be free with your mouth in somebody else's kitchen. You'll be free when you create your own food,
That's right.
build your own shelter,
That's right.
develop the earth under your foot and become productive, and then enter into trade and commerce with the nations of the world.
That's right.
We can't do that as some subservient subgroup to white people.
That's right.
I don't want to be with you.
That's right.
You've become disagreeable to live with in peace. And I'm sick and tired of black people having to say, we love you. We forgive you. Kill us all you want. We're not going to do nothing about it. Those days are over.
That's right. That's right.
Those days are really over.
That's right.
We want some of this earth that we've earned the right to with our native family. This is your earth, and they've reduced your population from what it was thousands of years ago. They cut it all the way down to 2 million in the whole of this great country. Now you're back up to 6 million. They say,
Right.
then they're making our native women sterile, feeding the native men with alcohol and methamphetamines and raping our girls. No, we can't take this no more.
That's right.
We won't take it anymore.
That's right.
It is better to be dead than to live continually under tyranny and oppression. So once that spirit get in you,
Yes, sir.
then the spirit of the ancestors have risen in you.
Yes.
With black ownership of business and black control of the financial destiny of the membership.
Not at all. Separation is an ultimate solution. It is an extreme solution. However, if we can get freedom, justice, and equality within the social, political, and economic order of the United States, that would be better.
So you continue to hold out the, can a white person be a member of the Nation of Islam? Your nation.
There are white Muslims, yes.
There are. Well, you're smiling. It hasn't always been that way. Okay, all right. If that's the case, then why are you going out of your way to, you invited Gaddafi to speak to your assembly in Chicago on closed-circuit television?
Yes.
And he encouraged the 400,000 black Americans who serve in the armed forces of the United States to revolt and fight the oppressor, and he'd help them, finance them with munitions.
The logic,
Is this the way we get to our promised land of integrated equality for all?
of course, the majority of blacks reject that suggestion.
And does Minister
However-
Farrakhan
However,
reject
of
it?
course I do. However, the logic of Mr. Gaddafi appears to be the logic of the Reagan administration, for $14 million are being asked for
Nicaragua.
for the Nicaraguans
Yeah.
or to overthrow the government
If
of
we
Nicaragua.
can support Contras for the purpose of overthrowing Nicaragua, why should we be so indignant that Gaddafi would tell American blacks to support the overthrow of the American racist system? Is that your
Exactly.
position? Okay, let's go over this once again. Here's what you said. Here's what you said. This is not so funny. Here was your statement regarding. This is perceived by most people who saw this and heard about it and read about it as a Jewish slur. Here's what you said. May we see that, David?
Nation called Israel never have had any peace in 40 years, and she will never have any peace, because there can be no peace structured on injustice, thievery, lying, and deceit, and using the name of God to shield your dirty religion under his holy and righteous name.
Yeah. Now, you're probably getting tired of explaining this. Did you say gutter religion or dirty religion?
First, let me say this, that your religion is not just what you profess. Your religion is what you practice. Jesus told his disciples, be ye doers of the word, not just hearers of the word. Lying, thievery, injustice, and murder is unclean. And using that to shield your, what I call dirty practice under God's name, is practicing dirty religion.
Would you say the same thing to Gaddafi?
I would say that any person that violates principles of righteousness and decency is practicing dirty religion.
Does he? Here's a man who exports terrorism. Here's a man that the president of Egypt has condemned as an exporter of a man who... Now you're going to give us a long speech about how do we know in the white press, and maybe you do not seem... All right.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Terrorism, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder.
That's what Menachem Begin says. That's what the people who fought for Israel say.
Menachem Begin was a terrorist, and now he's accepted as a great statesman.
Well, okay, but my point is, who decides what terrorism is acceptable? You?
I'm not that judge.
But you certainly brought your judgment to Israel in this.
I said exactly that which is truth. You cannot refute what I've said. Israel has not had any peace in 40 years, and it does not look as though she will have peace, because there is no peace structured on injustice.
You know, it is a fact. Israel has a lap full of problems, as does America. There's no doubt about it. You know, it's going to be real hard to argue with you regarding the grievances. And I certainly think it's a mistake to get into a contest about whose atrocity is the worst atrocity. Nevertheless, are you here to say that the Jews are not entitled to any homeland anywhere?
For 40 years, the Jewish state has existed, and they've had problems defining what is a Jew. Once we can define what is a Jew, then we can talk about a Jewish homeland. What is the definition of a Jew?
And what is the definition of a member of a Muslim? No, you know, nobody's, certainly like most religions, you're fractured yourself.
Jew is not a race.
But what's your point?
My point is, I can define what a Muslim is. A Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God. What is a Jew?
Yes, but then, from then on, we get all kinds of, just give me a second here. Defining a Muslim would, you'd get into an argument, for example, with Wallace D. Muhammad on the issue of defining a Muslim. So, my point is...
I think we both would agree. Wallace D. Muhammad would agree with me that a Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God.
Okay. You called Hitler a great man, and now you're going to tell us that you didn't mean great as necessarily positive. I mean, for a man who... you did say that, didn't you? You're not going to deny you said Hitler was a great...
Let's put that in context.
Okay.
Some Jewish leaders likened me to a black Hitler.
They did.
I took umbrage at that remark.
That's true.
I said the only way you can compare me with Hitler is that Hitler rose Germany up from the ashes. We are trying to rise black people up from the ashes, but don't compare me with your wicked killers. That's what I said.
So Hitler may have killed 6 million Jews, but his trains ran on time. Is that your point?
Hitler is no friend of black people. If Hitler had his way, he would have killed all black people also.
All right, so you condemn Hitler.
I could not be laudatory of Hitler. I just made a statement of fact.
Yeah, but... No, you can't call a person great and then step forward after the fact and claim that that's not that you were misunderstood.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Donahue, but the Bible calls Babylon great, but Babylon wasn't good.
Okay, all right.
Pharaoh was great, but he wasn't good.
There's something...
Hitler is a great and consequential man, but not a good man. Yes. That's all.
I'll tell you this. Let me say this. Here's the... Incident, does God talk to you, Minister Farrakhan? Does God talk to you?
Do you mean, do I hear God in my
Yes.
ear? No, of course not.
Are you a prophet?
No, I'm not.
So you are then, so you really don't have you don't have any special divine stuff that I don't have, right?
I don't know. That's debatable.
Well, I think that's a very important concession. I appreciate very much the humility with which you confess to being a mortal human being, subject to error like all of us. And yet you do have a kind of, you have a messianic posture about you. You do, if you are honest to say you're not a prophet, but you present at the podium as one. Sort of a follower of Muhammad. And that's the problem. You have every right to practice your religion. I don't want to sound patronizing, but once we don't allow people to do that, we really have a bigger problem than we can possibly imagine. But you do not have the right to claim absolute truth, and that's what I hear from you. You disagree with Minister Farrakhan. You disagree with God. That's pretty arrogant thing to do.
Mr. Swaggart and other white theologians take a very strong theological position.
Yes, they do.
You don't question their right to believe in the correctness of their vision.
But I certainly question their right to impose it on other people.
I believe in the correctness of the position of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I stand on that position.
Okay. You were born Louis Eugene Walcott in Boston, the Roxbury section of Boston. You married once, no scandal there. 9 children.
Yes.
The youngest of whom live with you, in what I'm told is a predominantly white suburb. Is that so?
It's integrated.
But I assume you're proud of the fact that you live in a community that I assume you feel is the forerunner of what you would like to see all America become. Is that so?
I live in a nice community, and I'm proud to live there. I had very much difficulty in living in that community,
yeah,
but that has been overcome.
Yeah. You really are. Your timing is perfect. Your timing is perfect. If it wasn't you, it'd be somebody else. We have ourselves a whole bunch of problems here. We have an administration that appears to have been going out of its way to alienate itself from your brothers and sisters. We have a rise, as NBC News viewers might have noticed last night on the news. The Klan is back in bigger and bigger numbers. So we shouldn't be surprised that you're drawing big crowds, Mr. Farrakhan. Here's the question.
The problem is, sir, that I was drawing large crowds
You've always
4
been
and
popular.
5 years ago.
Okay, but the white press didn't notice.
That's right,
okay.
without the press's notice.
Now look, we still got more. I got another statement here. Now, here we go. This is Milton Coleman. You're going to what? You wanted to bring murder to his wife? Now you're going to give me a long speech about how this isn't what you meant? Here's your statement. This is, remember the Coleman thing, Washington Post?
We're going to make an example of Milton Coleman. One day soon we will punish you with death. Because you are interfering with the future of our babies for white people and against the good of yourself and your own people. This is a fitting punishment for such dogs.
And if a woman lie down with this kind of person, that person, the woman, becomes a candidate.
Mr. Donahue.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have certainly cut up that tape. You never kept my words in context
Well, fine.
at all.
Then here,
If I had threatened the life of Milton Coleman, why was I not brought before the courts of law in the United States and punished? That is a punishable offense. I did not threaten his life, and you know that if you listen to that tape.
What was the first line on that tape? He says that you should...
Sir, the way that tape was doctored, you made it to appear as though I said exactly what you proposed
didn't
that I
say
said.
that. Okay.
I did not say
Here's
that.
the point. Here's the point. This kind of rhetoric jeopardizes babies of all color. It's not consistent with the tradition of Jesus, Muhammad, Martin Luther King. This is bellicose.
All of the prophets, when they spoke, they
So you
issued
are a prophet
threats.
then?
I
You're a
said all of the prophets, when they spoke, they issued threats and warnings. I think in the role of a teacher, we must look at the condition of black people in this country, the condition of America. And if the country continues in the path that the country is going, all intelligent people see the country going the way of Rome, the way of ancient Babylon, the way of Sodom and Gomorrah. Something has to be done of a positive nature to turn this around.
You know, let's get this in. Who's going to say that we don't have problems? College basketball. Listen, this isn't funny. Now, these young men are innocent. But if corruption has hit the NCAA final teams in the basketball tournament without having yet proved their case, these young men are innocent. Let's get that in. That does not look good for us. General Dynamics on the take. They're building submarines, and the guy who ran the company is hiding now in Greece. General Electric, top 10 Fortune 500. Minister Farrakhan is right when he says we have a problem. The question is whether you're contributing to the possibility of making it worse.
The question is, you know, Mr. Donahue,
how many babies are going to be quite literally dead in the crossfire of the prophets?
Mr.
That's
Donahue,
the thing. That's the thing.
question is, yes, there's corruption. Yes, blacks are suffering. But what is the solution to the problem? In my judgment, sir, the solution has to revolve around two things. A united front of all black leaders and black organizations to address the problem of black unemployment and black suffering. We are blessed to get out of the economy of the United States this year approximately $204 billion, making us the 12th richest country on earth. I'm talking about black people.
Yes.
With that kind of money redirected into the hands of black people, we could redress our own grievances rather than standing on corners or begging white people to do for us what we should now do for ourselves. That, I believe, is a solution to the problem.
We are in New York City with Minister Farrakhan. To give this audience an opportunity. But these white people are saying not guilty.
She's calling me a bigot and a racist and an anti-Semite. Are Arabs Semitic people?
Here comes the
Are Arabs Semitic people? And if Arabs are Semitic people,
so what?
And I am
let's
supposedly pro-Arab, how can I then be anti-Semitic?
How about anti-Jewish?
Are Jews the only Semitic people?
What's your point?
That's a racist statement. For me to be accused of being anti-Semitic,
how would you feel about? How do you
statement.
feel about the accusation that you are anti-Jewish?
I am not anti-Jewish. What would make me anti-Jewish? There are 800,000 Jews who do not agree that the state of Israel is the fulfillment of divine prophecy.
And there are several.
Are they anti-Semitic?
And there are several 100,000 Muslims who do not believe you are in any way a spokesman for the Nation of Islam.
But that's
now
fine.
what? Now what?
That's fine.
Well, why isn't it fine? Are you saying that Jews will not be acceptable to you until they all march like wooden soldiers agreeing in...
I didn't say that.
It sounds like
I did not say that. I said 800,000 Jews agree with my position. Are they anti-Semitic?
All right. Okay. Hang on a moment. Yes, ma'am.
I just have to say that maybe Hitler did some good things, but all one has to do, in your opinion, he may have been great. In my opinion, I'm not Jewish, but I have had the opportunity, and I say opportunity, to go to a concentration camp, and tears just flow. I don't care what religion you are. It is so sad, the injustices that were done.
I
This
agree.
can't
I agree
happen
with you,
again.
miss.
Okay.
That human suffering is sad no matter who is suffering. We don't control NBC, ABC, and CBS, so our story, the story of the black Holocaust, has never really been told. Roots did a fairly decent job of trying to tell our story. But if we told our story, like Jews have been able to tell their story, a brass monkey would shed tears over what blacks have suffered in this country.
Mr. Farrakhan, if I understood you correctly, you said a Muslim is one who's committed to do the will of God.
That's correct.
Then I am your sister, and the Jewish race are committed to do the will of God. You have to fight for us, and you have to fight for 97% of the population, and you're not.
May I respectfully say to you, the Quran teaches us that all those that are Jews or Sabians who believe in Allah in the last day, they have their reward with their Lord. I cannot be against a Jew if that Jew believes in God and practices the principles of righteousness. That's what I believe in. So in that sense, you would be my sister in faith. But now, what about the Palestinians who have lost their homeland, who have lost their lives, trying to defend a homeland that is theirs? Some Orthodox Jews say that a Zionist cannot be a Jew, and a Jew cannot be a Zionist. So now, is Zionism the real problem and not Jews?
And
what is the problem?
And some Palestinians support Yasser Arafat and some don't. What's the point? Does this mean, therefore, no piece of real estate should ever be granted to them? No piece of real estate should ever be granted or be claimed by Israel?
The real estate that was to be granted to the suffering Jews was to be granted to them on the coming of the Messiah. Those persons that set up the state of Israel were not believers in God. Herzl didn't believe in God.
Right.
He's not a believer.
Okay.
Ben-Gurion didn't believe in God. So technically they're not Jews.
All right. Okay.
I just have to, there's no battle and no speech, but I'm sitting here and listening to this, and I'm getting very upset. You are obviously a very erudite, intelligent, learned man, and you're using that to twist facts. What bothers me is not the Jews and the Catholics or anything. What bothers me is your lack of respect. You are in a position of power, and you're using it in a negative way instead of a positive way. Your lack of responsibility bothers me.
You know, I must...
Let me try here for 1 second. He may not say this, but here's the disquieting part of this. The nice guys don't have any power. And he has more and more people showing up at more and more rallies saying, I've had it. I've had it. I marched, I sang, we shall overcome, I did all that stuff, and look where I am.
Why are they showing up like this? It is because those in positions of power that were white have misused their trust and their responsibility. I am not misusing power.
Brothers and sisters, now there is need for us to talk about the black history, the history that they tried hiding for the longest time. Now, everyone who is watching this video will actually agree with me at a point that black history was being erased, and the Caucasians were trying so much as they can to make sure that our history was being faded away and was being terminated in a way. They didn't want us to know the truth. They tried hiding the truth for the longest time. And there is need for us also to talk about how people like Louis Farrakhan have been trying so much to educate us on how much we've been oppressed and how much they have tried to erase the black history. As a matter of fact, there is a professor of law that I was going through his work and his speeches, and you even know about Tim Wise, one of the most renowned white guys who has been talking about the black history and how much they tried to wipe it out. Now, Tim Wise in one of his lectures says that the Bible is a black book, that things that were written in the Bible were black, that were associated with black. But what happened? They tried to erase, they tried to bring a white Jesus, they tried to do everything so that the Bible can look like a white history book. But no, that's not the biggest concern I have. The fact that they are trying to hide our history from us. They are trying to take it away from us. You ask yourself, what's the benefit of that? What are they going to gain with that? Now, that only tries to bring the white supremacy topics and all this other stuff. They want to feel superior. They want to be like those guys who know those guys that know it all, and those guys that are highly favored. And there is need for us also to talk about how black people have been brainwashed by the white history, that we have forgotten ourselves and who we are. We've forgotten that we are the chosen generation. We've started talking and we've started appraising how much they have done to us, instead of talking the reality and how much we've been oppressed, how much our history was taken away from us. There is need also for us to talk about how things have been in the last few years. We have not actually been so serious about our own history. Now, those people who are in Africa and those people in the Caribbean will at one point or in the entire video agree with me that we've been taught the history that is not ours. People in Africa being taught about agriculture in Netherlands. People in Africa being taught fishing in Japan. People in Africa have been taught about agriculture in the US, have been taught about so many things. They have been taught the Constitution of the US, being taught how the US government operates. How is that going to benefit someone who is in Africa? How is that part of our history? Why are they teaching us about the Industrial Revolution that took place in their countries? That's whatever they left Africa with. They left Africa with their history. They left Africans with their culture. And we are proudly practicing their culture in Africa. Tell me, when did people start praising divorce? Tell me when the family became so useless to parents that they abandoned their own children. Can you tell me when Africa or black people started having disrespect to their elders and all this stuff? This is whatever we see in Hollywood movies. This is whatever they are teaching us. This is whatever we are borrowing from them. That's not our culture. The culture of Africa dictates that the family is the basic unit in a society. That this is where a life begins. The life begins in your family. That if you have to have a good country, if there was to have a good society or a good community, it must start with the morals in the family. I've been seeing a lot of videos and in some Hollywood movies where children abuse their parents and their parents will say, "I'm sorry, daddy," and all those stuff. That's not African morals. That's not black morals. And I feel like Louis Farrakhan has been talking the truth. It is the fact that he belongs to the Muslim religion, the Islamic religion. That's why we try to criticize everything he says. This man has been standing for the truth. He has been saying the truth for the longest time. There is need for us to also embrace this, embrace the truth, and talk about whatever has been done to us. Now, Louis Farrakhan has always gotten to the nerves of the Caucasians. For example, when he says that we built this country and you need to respect us. We need some respect from you. If it were not for black folks, the US could not be that superpower that it is today. If it were not for the black folks, the UK could not be a big economy in the world. If it were not for the black folks, where could be the European nations be? They ought to have some respect for black race. They need to respect black folks. And the matter of social injustices happening to black folks, it is a way to intimidate them. They thought black folks are going to die in poverty, that poverty was meant for black folks. Some people thought that it is black folks who should end up in prisons and jails. Now, that's quite the opposite of whatever is happening right now. Black folks are now embracing themselves. They are now trying to regain whatever was lost. They are trying to embrace unity. And this is their biggest fear, that the Western systems fear when black folks are talking the truth and when black folks are trying maybe to come together. The Caucasians took advantage. Not all, but some of them took advantage. And I usually say that if you believe you are not part of the rotten system that was put to oppress black folks, then come out, act different. Don't just speak on the internet and cry on TikTok begging for forgiveness. It is time they embrace themselves through. It is time they come out in their numbers and condemn the brutality that took place in the years, condemn for whatever atrocities that was caused to black folks, and help black folks to ask for reparations. Reparations are not grants. They are not aid. Reparations are a must to black folks. They built that country. They built that economy that Trump and his administration, that Joe Biden and his administration, the country that the Republicans and Democrats have been talking about as the superpower of this world, was built by black folks. So there is need for black folks to embrace themselves, and those Caucasians who are not racist, or who have not believed in the same system that was put to oppress their brothers and sisters. It is time they come out in their numbers and try to speak about these things. I think, and I really feel it for black folks, because people who have been talking about them, Khalid Mohammed and the other guy, the Louis Farrakhan of this world, when they have been talking about these things, and we tried to ignore them, people started taking Louis Farrakhan seriously when he got old. They started realizing, oh my goodness, this man is almost going. We will miss him. He has been speaking for us. So this is the time we should have so many Louis Farrakhans. We should have so many Ibrahim Traores. We should have so many Dr. Arikanas. We want to change the story. We want to change the fate of black folks around the world. This is the time. We have no any other time. Things have been happening so crazy. And if we are not going to if we are not going to stand strong and say we are saying no to oppression, we are saying no to this and that, we are still going to face the same things. I came across a video, and it was talking how hard it is to be a black folk in a white America. And I was looking at the perspective and whatever the video was talking about, and I was, oh my goodness, this is crazy, because they are talking about how the US is great, but they're assuming the other history, how they used black folks to build the same America, how they used the black folks to build the same European Union. So it is I take it as a joke when someone is trying to bring how great they are without mentioning how black folks helped them get there. So it is time they should respect our brothers and sisters. It is time they should actually know that the US was built using the energy of black folks. It was built using the sweat of a black man. So there is need for them to be reparated. There is need for them to be respected. And the oppression that is taking place and the police brutality, the social injustices should be brought to a halt. It should stop immediately. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. We can talk about black history so many times, but a time comes when we need to take actions. We need to stop the talking and take actions. For those Caucasians who are asking for forgiveness, they should ask with genuine instincts. Like, they should ask and do whatever they talk about, not just go to TikTok and cry or ask for forgiveness. So this is the time to have a very unified world. This is the time to have a very unified human race. We are all people of human race. So we should stop the divisions that is happening in the US and everywhere in the world. Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. Appreciate so much. If it's your first time on the channel, please consider subscribing, sharing, and liking the video also. Thank you, and see you in our next episode.